And welcome to part 2 of the spotlight on the one, the only Mr. Thales. How you been the last couple of weeks, mate?
Hey, thanks for having me again. Much better. I hope also my voice is much better now. So
your voice was fine the last one. It was just, you were still recovering from that illness, and after the 80 minutes or so we'd been talking for, it was starting. Even I was getting a bit croaky though, mate. So yeah. It was a lot of talking, and from what I recall, you're not exactly a have a chat like myself. You're more of a reserved sort of person. So it was probably the most you've talked in a while, I guess.
yeah, that's usually during like meetings, presentations, and stuff, you talk, but not for so long with longer pauses. I'm not that active, which might change because I'm learning that I should be more involved in also like marketing and promoting stuff. So now I'm like digging into Twitter, Instagram, and other things. But
Oh God, I
yeah,
pity you. Twitter.
like I still remember when it was called Twitter and not X. So.
I don't call it X. I just can't. It is and it always will be Twitter. It'd be like if they rebranded DayZ and called it Week S. It'd be it's still DayZ to me. But yeah. Okay, so the last episode we had a few topics that we wanted to delve into, and we've had a bit of feedback over the last couple of weeks as well. So we'll get to some of that at the end with some viewer questions. But the big one that we wanted to start off with today was the 1.26 and Sakhal release issues. Now, we did touch on Frostline a bit in part 1, but you wanted to actually address some of the issues regarding the release of Sakhal. So I won't probe to start with. I'll let you just explain it from your perspective. And if there's anything I feel we need to delve into, we'll delve into. So, 1.26 release.
Yeah, that didn't went as well as we hoped for. Definitely, we basically encountered issues immediately after the start because one of the things that was linked to 1.26 release was character wipe, which we done many times without any issues. But this time we actually had hardware issues on servers, and we have a backup system that allows another server machine to take over.
Now, is that you guys or is that Nitrado?
No, that's not even Nitrado. It's a different provider because we are still keeping servers there as we didn't want to do the full migration just to not like make the services not available for some time. And we were also looking into both hardware and software solutions. And at that point, we didn't have anything better, or it wasn't needed. We did some changes after 1.26 release, obviously, and we are again doing some investigation if we really shouldn't move it after the issues we had. The thing basically is that when one of those server machines dies or goes down for any reason, the second one will take over. Unfortunately, the second one also went down, so the third and last one took over. It was very unfortunate because at the worst possible time, you had two hardware issues. Well, basically three, because the third machine also had a hardware issue. 2 times we had RAM memory died, which isn't the thing that was happening over that hour. Like it was an issue that was there for a longer time, but the machine is set in a way that it can compensate up to some point. And with 1.26 release, we passed that point actually on both machines, so they both failed. And the third one, which took over, didn't stand it, and the hard drive died. So we started restarting it, calling the company for support, for hardware adjustments. Our IT went on it and tried to fix it as fast as possible. We were at that point thinking if we should upload just offline database, because basically our Hive died completely, which means that you couldn't use characters across maps. So the backup solution for that would be offline Hive, which will allow you to play on a official map, but you couldn't move the character between maps. And once we would go back online, we would need to do another character wipe again. So before, because this also takes some time to get into the game. And at the same time, we were able to fix online version and put it back on some backups that we had. And then we had additional issues on consoles because during the chaos there was a missed change in a config file, which caused on some consoles or for some users the official servers not to be visible. Or they were visible for a short time, then they disappeared. So it was about refreshing. Some users actually got to servers because we saw that some official servers were actually running with people on them. But it was somewhat luck to see the server, join it, because if you refreshed again after a minute, it would disappear. So we were fixing that, and it was fully solved in like 16 hours. What we definitely missed, and that's a huge lesson for us, is the communication, because marketing was basically asking, okay, so what is happening, when is the stuff going to be fixed? At the time, we didn't know. We couldn't say the exact time. And we definitely felt on that part that we should keep the communication line online the whole time. So yeah, we missed that, and that's part of the changes that we are implementing now. That first, during such release, there will be a completely different IT prepared, including the backup solutions, like to immediately switch if needed. And we also changed the communication workflow with our partners, both Nitrado and the Hive. So because there were some notifications, but it didn't reach correct people who could act immediately. So that was also changed. That we changed the communication workflow, so we get the notifications immediately if anything happens. And also we changed we basically did the whole investigation across the company, including the dev team, IT, backend deployment. So we got results of that and what needs to change in order to prevent such thing in the future to happen. As part of that, we are also investigating if we should keep Hive with that partner, or switch it, do our own solution, which will take some more time to evaluate, but that's also something that we are looking into right now. Bless you.
Thank you.
So we share the sentiment that it was far from perfect. Like us running around trying to fix stuff as ants that you can see running around in the forest, for example. Yeah, that wasn't the greatest moment of working on Frostline, definitely.
Especially
So,
after all the hype, and the lead up to it, and then when it releasing all these issues.
yeah, so Definitely apology from our side to our players there, especially on consoles, because that was unfortunate link of events, but in the end, gamers want just to play game. Like they don't need to care about what issues do we have. So and it was our issue. So again, apology is definitely here, and we are trying our best to change stuff based on the experience, so we don't experience this in the future.
One of the other things with the 1.26 release was the I jokingly, if you know The Simpsons, they had a whole episode around an inanimate carbon rod when Homer goes into space, and I jokingly called the infamous concrete block the inanimate carbon block. Now, where I'm going with this one is it was about the communication. From what I understand, that was identified by Nate quite early on in the experimental patch, and a feedback tracker form was lodged. Nate being the sort of person he is, he lodged quite a detailed and good explanation of what the issue was, yet it still got released to Stable Branch, and it seemed like there wasn't a lot of communication between BI and the modding community about the impact that block was going to have at a court. Admittedly, you can say that it was their own fault for not going in and doing what they need to do with checking their mods in the Stable Branch and all the rest of it. But for the map makers in particular, we saw Battle Squatch and John McLean being quite vocal about the issues it caused for him. Now, I do know that there was a lot of assistance being given to John McLean, especially because Deer Isle relied quite heavily on that concrete block, and it was used in ways that a normal concrete slab wouldn't be used, but they're the tools that they have accessible. But that breakdown in communication there, was that something you guys have talked about internally?
The concrete block gate that we had to fix some issues with concrete block that was in experimental. There was a feedback tracker, and there was explanation of the issues that it will cause, and we immediately replied there that we understand, but it needs to be fixed. And unfortunately, like, concrete blocks were never meant to be used in a way how they were used in the mods. So we thought this was communicated enough and ahead of time for modders to be able to do the adjustments. Even though we understand that it takes time, even Adam Sumrak had to do some changes to Namalsk. After he left work working on Frostline, he went home and was fixing Namalsk because he did similar things there. So we, of course, were in contact with some of the modders, and I can say that the communication between modders and us was quite civil. We try to help them and try to navigate them how to fix stuff, how to solve the issues. So it's unfortunate that the official communication on socials was seen as I would say a little more dramatic than what we experienced on our side with communicating directly to modders. But I can understand that it was a lot of work, additional work for them to adjust those things, which is a part of basically what we talked in the previous part of the interview. It's one of the downsides when you want to fix stuff, but at the same time you need to evaluate, okay, but we have mods, and if we fix stuff it will break mods, so we need to solve it somehow, and we can't always choose to keep the mods untouched, unfortunately, because one of the things that we also got lately for some feedback was that we are not adding enough big interesting things But what I've learned over years, even when I was working back on Take on Mars, which again was supporting mods, is that if with our approach of focusing heavily on modding community, allowing people to create mods and everything, we can't just ignore those and create new content disregarding the existing mods and modding community, because we will break their stuff with every update, and then nobody will create new content for the game because they will just need to fix it every single time that we update the game. So yeah, that's unfortunate, but we will try to communicate it more ahead of time, the intention of changing something. But yeah, I don't think right now we have in our pipeline something that would have such an impact on modders, to be honest. But yeah, we are paying attention to that, and even our programmers or scripters are learning to when they join the team, they need to learn that they have to think also about mods, not only as in a bubble of just the vanilla game, but also what it does to basically a platform. Like if we do this change, it will be fine for us, but it will influence a huge amount of stuff that was created by people. So is there another way how we can achieve the same thing without breaking all the stuff? And that's something that not everyone is used to when they join the team. From other companies, from professionals, it's sometimes not that common to work on games that are supporting modding or are really focused on modding that heavily. So that they don't have that mindset of I need to think not only about the game itself but also the additional things from the community. And on the other side, the modders who joined our team, they have a great insight into seeing potential issues when we are planning something, because well, they were modding, and they also know that if we change this, it will actually impact guys a lot. So we got some reality checks also by actually having modders as a part of our development team. So that's like another addition that modders can bring when you have a game that is similar to DayZ or the games that we are doing in Bohemia in general, that are usually really focusing on providing modding support. So yeah, the concrete blocks were the most visible, definitely in past several updates, and I would say it was the most rework the modders have to do for a long time, and we hope that it will be the most work that they had to do in a long time. Because like definitely it's not our intention to break their stuff all the time, but yeah, like we are looking in ways how to possibly communicate it sooner than through experimental and some dev blocks. Maybe we can include it in some communication ahead of time if we recognize the potential issue sooner. So again, it's a fair point that it's about the communication. At that point, we thought it's communicated enough, because we stated officially that we are aware. It's unfortunate, but this change will stay. So please check your content and adjust it if needed. If you need some support, contact us. But unfortunately, we can't keep all the changes out of the table just to just not to break the mods. We are trying to do it in the majority of time, but it's not possible all the time, unfortunately.
That's a good point you raised there about, and it's something that I hadn't actually considered myself, quite surprisingly, but about the fact that everyone keeps on saying, we want big stuff from DayZ, but then on the other hand, they'll sit there and say DayZ is only, it's been saved because of the modding community. But if you guys were to do big stuff, it will cause issues for the modding community. So it's kind of caught between the frying pan and the fire. Between a rock and a hard place. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But with the communication side of it, I can't recall if we brought this up last episode, but I know I've discussed it before. But something I've suggested would be allowing verified modders to get a special role on the feedback tracker, so that when they do identify something like this, it goes to the top of the pile of urgent, game-breaking bugs that people have found, so it can be actioned quicker. It's not just a pleb like myself. And then the likes of Mario, who's the senior mod coordinator, I believe, for BI, with Reforger primarily. But
he's to my knowledge, he's coordinating like modding community on Reforger, not really on DayZ. So we talked about because I noticed that he mentioned that he's a modding coordinator for Bohemia, and that was not exact because we are trying to have like direct communication with our modding community through our community managers and through our Discords. So that's also something that we are looking into, because as some of our stuff, feedback tracker is also quite old system, and we are looking in ways if we can improve it or switch to some more usable modern tool that would do the same stuff and more for our community, because we are aware of issues that we have with reporting issues, also reporting cheaters and stuff. So we are looking in some solutions, but it's not that easy, because with proprietary engine that we have, and in reality we have a mixture of two engines compared to other games in our company. It's not possible to just use some existing solution, because usually you have from these services that are offering solutions, basically ready solutions like feedback tracker and others. They have easy implementation through SDK that's usually linked to some type of engine, but we don't have that. So we are always looking for a unique solution that needs to be created. And if we don't want to slow down the development and support of the games, it should be developed by that external company. So there is back and forth all the time, like looking into different solutions, then checking with the company if they are able to create the solution for us. So yeah, it takes time. It also costs money. So we need to figure out like, okay, this is cool solution. It's also extremely expensive. So does it make sense? As we also talked last time, the business is part of that, and we need to also think about what everything costs and what it brings. So yeah, we are thinking about how to solve this, and we don't have a clear answer right now. And we don't want to present just ideas that might not be applicable, because the worst thing that we can do is tease something and then completely deny it, that it was impossible from the very beginning. Like that wouldn't be an approach that we want to do.
You touched on something then, which makes a good segue into the next point that I'd like to talk about. Just give me 1 second, just updating a list here, making sure I track everything that we've done. Anti-cheat. It's something that I hear mentioned time and time again about the cheaters, the dupers, the glitches, the hackers, everything in DayZ. Now, the dupers, the glitches, that's something you guys can manage directly. But the cheaters who are using third-party external tools, I get it. it's frustrating when you die in DayZ, particularly as there's no live action replay, and you've just got to try and guess that. Oh yeah, probably it was a hacker. Unless you see them, doing one of those hacks that they do, and it's very easy to see that they're using a speed hack or something like that. You can only surmise, but. You guys cop a lot of flack over the abundance of cheaters on some of the servers. I personally don't run into them that much. Glitches, there's always a glitch being found. You guys recently stamped out the one with the silent or the chem stick, that you could use to get through walls and things like that. But I've come back at people and said, look, anti-cheats are always going to be behind the 8 ball. They're pretty much they can't really guess what's going to go out there unless they've got a crystal ball. They're not going to know what the next big cheat is, so they're always playing catch up. So there's that to consider. But the hacking and the glitching and the duping side of things, what are you guys doing about that? You've got BattleEye. Do you guys discuss this issue much at all? Because when you hear the community talk about it, it's out of control. I don't believe it's that bad, but it is still an issue.
It's a constant arms race, definitely. As you mentioned, glitches, duping. That's something that we are handling directly because it needs to be changed in the game. That's part of many game updates because there will it looks like the dupers will always find some weird glitch way how to do stuff, including manipulating with hardware, using glitches in the game that we are then fixing and denying the found ways of stuff. It's also there comes also the legal part because we have a team that is focusing on that, and any breaking of the license is reported to them, and then there are legal actions. So like websites and cheat stores are taken down. They will pop up elsewhere, of course. Sometimes they pop up on pages that are registered in countries where it's problematic to reach. So it's a constant fight. Like for multiplayer game, it's unfortunately a part of the daily work because there will always be someone who wants to be better than others or get better gear faster and stuff like that. So that's something that we are addressing constantly. With the cheaters in the game, right now we don't have better solution than BattleEye, even though like we are actually looking into it. And last year we were doing some bigger investigations into competition because it's not a wise thing to just stick with one solution and never go back to it and check if maybe something in the industry moved forward because gaming industry is moving really fast, so you don't want to be left behind completely. That would be an issue. But so far we got to a point that we can change the service, but it would basically be completely the same. So we are still like looking into ways how we can improve that. We are looking in ways how we can better identify cheaters based on their actions in the game and data about what they are doing.
Have you ever considered a report button for players to use when they do suspect that someone's cheated? I know Rust has something similar. You can press, I think it's F1 or something, I'm not sure. And on the death screen, maybe in the menu somehow, or is that something you've considered? Is it viable? Is it not viable?
Yes, we were looking into that solution, of course, because it's usually the first thing that comes to mind that you would have a button to report things. We were also checking with our partners and some other companies that are focusing on this. What are the results of such button? Because that's something that you don't usually see. published. But we were asking, okay, if you implemented this, how it improved your fight with cheaters? It highly depends on the game, on the data that they are collecting about the players. But some companies actually found it quite insufficient or ineffective because they got a ton of reports of cheaters where it wasn't the case, and they basically really have to hire more people to just maintain this system, go through reports, checking through data, set automatization of all things, and in the end, like, didn't change that much. So I'm not saying that would be the case for us. We are still looking into our options and if it makes sense, and how to ideally, of course, do that automatically, because you usually don't want to hire a ton of people just to check reports, because again, it will be slow. It will be slow, and it will cost without improving the experience for players that much. So at this point, we don't have this, but we are looking in ways how to do that. And in order to get there in a way that it will be effective, we still have to improve some parts on our side. So I can say that we will integrate it because I'm not completely sure at this point. But yeah, like how to address cheaters is a constant topic that shouldn't be dismissed by developers of a multiplayer game ever, because I don't believe there is like any multiplayer game without some cheaters.
No,
So
I don't believe
it's-
that either. I say that all the
Yeah.
time. Show
Yeah,
me a
so-
game
so
that doesn't have it that's online.
There are definitely games that are better in catching the stuff. Usually, they also have possibly a service or like a quite in-depth integration of solution for that. So yeah, definitely something that we are checking. Our community managers are going through things, checking videos and everything with introduction of new ways how to cheat, dupe, use glitches to advantage, like all of those things. So
Keep posting them on
that's-
YouTube, folks. It's great for the devs when they find a new one on YouTube.
or anywhere else. Like really, it's a constant fight, and we know that this will never completely cease. Like on the other hand, it also means the game is alive, because who would care to cheat in a dead game? So in a way, it's a good sign that we have cheaters, but we are not that happy about it. Definitely.
It's
So,
it's mainly an issue only for the official servers though, because most of the community servers, they've got access to CF and some of the great tools that has. But as you mentioned, those servers usually have a team of dedicated admins and moderators who are constantly monitoring the server live. For you guys to do that with all your servers across the world would be quite a team of people needed 24/7 around the clock to manage that. But just some sort of way for, because I do see it quite often in comments, usually someone, when you guys tweet out something about, hey, here's the new Christmas wallpaper, fix cheaters on insert, official server name. And it's like, I get where they're coming from in that there doesn't seem to be a way for them to be able to report a cheater to anyone.
yeah, that's like, as I said, currently we are using BattleEye as a system that can catch these things automatically, because we don't have capacity to watch everything. But in order to have like reporting button, the thing is that we really need the whole context based on the data from the game, and we are quite complex game, so we need to know if, for example, the player died, which would be most likely the main moment when someone will report a cheater, because he died of someone. So what was the state of his character, where he died, how he died, where other players were, because there is a chance that the player was killed by another player, not, for example, a player that was visible to him at the moment. And it's a huge amount of data, and this needs to be reviewed for every claim, because if we don't have all that data available from all moments, it would be very hard to evaluate it in any way. So that's something that they are looking into, but also collecting such a huge amount of data means that we need to store it somewhere, because the claim can be reviewed, especially if there is a huge amount of claims. It will take some time to review them. We need to store all the data. That also costs money, because either you will need to store it on some cloud service, or we would need to have our own huge storage prepared for that, which is something that we are again looking into, because with work on Reforger and also Arma 4, which we announced for the release, we want to have these things prepared better than we have now. So we are looking for like some like company-wide solutions, because at the time, first thing is that if you have a solid solution for the whole company and not a specific solution for every single project, it will be much more cost effective. And also it will be much easier to maintain and service, because then your IT can work with a single system. They will know how it works. They will know the details. If someone joins the company, the person would not learn like 3 or 4 different systems for every single game, but a single system that applies to all games. So those changes are not as fast as we would like, definitely. That's also unfortunate state of things, but we are basically constantly like solving how to improve this. And as long as we don't have a better solution at the hands, we are going with Betlai, because that provides a solid service so far.
Okay. Changes to the CLE. Now, Wobo did a video talking about it, and the comment section of his video was quite lively. Even in the group chat that a few of us, or the team who were invited to Prague earlier this year, I think it was either Toprek or Minder brought up that, yeah, it hasn't been well received by the community with the changes to like the M16 and things like that. What was the thought process behind that, and what's the reaction been from the team about the reaction from the community?
Well, unfortunately, I don't have time to read all the comments. That's not possible. But our community managers are going through that, and we actually have like reviews of the reactions that are available, and that's provided to our designers. They are also going through the comments and different channels where the feedback is shared. And then we also evaluate based on the data that we have, because sometimes it happens that there is some push for a change, but then we look at how players are actually playing the game, and that doesn't match. And then we need to look into why and stuff. But we are looking into some changes, of course, because after release of Frostline and 126, we had much more feedback than we could have from our developers, our QA testers, even through the like exclusive streaming window before the release of Frostline. We of course gathered feedback from participants of that, but that compared to the whole world and the player base, it's just a small fraction of the feedback that we can get. So we are going through that now, and we will introduce some changes, adjustments, additions, of course, in 127 update. So during experimental, again, we will check, okay, we introduced some adjustments. What's the reaction on that? Does it improve? Does it make it more interesting for players or not? That's the work with economy, distribution of items, balancing of all the items. That's also a constant work. It takes time. And sometimes we are expecting players to receive something in a different way, or it takes time for players to see the impact of the changes. But yeah, we are basically adjusting the central economy with every update, based on the feedback.
Gunplay. Now, this is a topic that I hear brought up quite a lot. And I usually push back at it because I think a lot of people view DayZ too much as a PvP game, whereas I like to think of it as a survival game first and foremost. And part of that survival definitely does entail PvP. But this kind of ties into the previous point with the changes to the CLE in that right now there's a few metas. And yeah, when you get to people who have the skill sets of the likes of Toprek, Minder, you see those guys run around with a Mosin and they do stuff in it that I couldn't even do with a shotgun at 5 feet in front of me. They're just one-shotting people from across a valley and things like that. Part of what I tie it into is the lack of good inertia with the rifles and that in DayZ, which discourages people from carrying those smaller sidearms, your SMGs, your pistols, and so on. On the coast, sure, but using a Mosin like it's an SMG for close range fighting is kind of crazy to me. And a lot of people go back to the gunplay was better pre 0.63, and that it lacks that diversity with the way that the weapons are used. In that there's not a lot of difference between the different types of rifles with how quick, the long rifle should take longer to get up and be harder to use. So you'd really need to be more stable, crouched or something like that to get the best. And is that something you guys are looking into with the gunplay and aware of the feedback from the community about it?
We are aware of that. We are aware of the discussion about inertia. We will focus on some gunplay aspects during next year. We are planning some stuff because Frostline and 126 was really focused on survival, and as we talked last time, we have different players playing DayZ, and gunplay is a big part of that. Even though we still think about DayZ as a survival first, but there's a lot of gunplay loving players who really prefer this playstyle. And while we are looking into that, we are not sure if we can introduce some significant changes that would completely change how the weapons work. We are looking into that.
It could break all the mods again.
Yes, yes. That's again something that we need to consider. And while there is discussion lately, because we are going through the feedback and there are live discussions with designers, what they think about it, and also with Adam, how he sees the possible changes impacting modding community, and the whole team is part of the discussion. We don't have exact solution right now or some immediate change. We need some time to think about it and test some things and how it impacts the game. So I'm not promising that we will change specifically inertia, but we definitely want to still provide something for our gunplay part of player base. As part of that, also what we, for example, did during past year was a complete rework of gun sounds. because we felt they are outdated. And I need to point out that we have a new or sound designer joined our team. He worked previously on Stalker 2 because as GSC moved partly to Prague, he finished his work there and moved to us, and he's really focused on weapons.
And he's part of the DayZ team.
He's part of the audio team, but he's currently working specifically on DayZ.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about option to do a rework and overhaul of gun sounds. So that's something that we are focusing on not only for as in Inertia as mentioned, but also other aspects, because the gunplay is a complex experience. It's not only about how the weapon looks, because there needs to be some look of the weapon, aka the asset needs to have a certain quality. The animations need to look good. The sound should be impactful and should represent the weapon, because players will learn how to recognize different weapons based on the sound. Also, as we really want to show the realistic sounds with a delay of sound getting to you based on the distance, and also the sound of the weapon being different when you're in close combat or you hear it over a hill. That's something that we wanted to improve, and hopefully we will continue with such improvements of a general gunplay in the future, that it's not only about one aspect, but the whole feel and the experience of using weapons in the game. So I think it's definitely not a topic that we abandoned in any way. The weapons are still a big part of the game, and in a way it's inherited from the Arma series, as that was the cradle of DayZ, as it was original mode of Arma 2. So it was quite natural that we took, even though the focus of DayZ was on the survival, it organically took the options that were in Arma regarding weapons. It's not a full scale military operations and big combat, including vehicles and aircrafts and everything, but the gunplay was inherited from Arma Legacy, and we are building on that still. So yeah, we don't forget about all the players that prefer to shoot guns.
So Red 9 confirmed for early January?
Well,
Lad paid me to ask that question.
Mm.
No, he didn't. But it's just a running joke with us. The Lad 9, we almost call it as well because he misses it. But is there any work being done on Speedloaders? Because I know that's something integral missing to the game for the PvP side of it.
It's well, we of course have a huge backlog of stuff, including stuff before release of 063. Currently, I don't think we want to introduce speedloaders, because we still think the combat should feel more gritty and less like professional like, compared to, for example, Arma series, because that's really like a military experience, while we are looking more for a desperate post-apocalyptic fight for life, and not necessarily like this level of gunplay, at least not for now. I definitely can't like put anything completely out of the table that we are not doing something. Maybe jets. Maybe we are really not planning to introduce jet planes.
Oh God, didn't we cop some shit for that one?
But yeah, we still want to introduce on one side the survival experience, including weapons, including other aspects. On the other side, we are thinking, okay, Speedloaders might make sense much more for the community, for their own servers, especially servers that are focusing on gunplay. Yeah, we recognize that. We are not sure if we want that huge of an impact on the more vanilla survival experience. So yeah, it's on the list, but we think there are things that can be more beneficial to both right now.
Such as base building. That is a big thing. Now, you hear a lot of content creators, and I understand where a lot of them are coming from, but for the majority, content creators who aren't just YouTube focused, the live streamers and that, can't really do base building for the obvious reason because of the meta involved. But for a lot of DayZ players, base building is a key core component of the game. And to be quite frank, base building in DayZ is shit. It is absolutely terrible. Almost token is something I've said many a time in the past. Do you guys have any plans for base building overhaul? Because whenever I've done a poll, whenever I ask a question, the overwhelming response from people is they want to see better vanilla base building. And there are some amazing mods out there. Dumpgrass fortifications mod, DayZ expansion, base building plus, R22R's fortification mod as well. There's some amazing stuff out there, being able to choosing between being able to barricade a building. And a lot of that does rely on, being able to turn on build anywhere. But do you guys have any plans for something that I think would be one of the biggest changes that would benefit the player base and see a massive increase? Because it's so hard, so time consuming, all the work you've got to put into building a base, and someone can break through a fence inside a minute. So it's that risk versus reward, and you've got stashes and all the rest of it. But there's something about base building that just draws a lot of people. I believe that's part of Rust's success. Is the players love building their bases, having their little forts, and counting all their gold and guns and everything else they've stashed inside. Whereas in DayZ, it's kind of a lot harder to do that if you're not playing on a modded server.
Yeah, we know. I can start with that. Base building is on the list of things that we are looking into. The thing is that, if we want to introduce changes, it should be like proper improvements, and that might be close to a complete overhaul of how we think about or how we utilize base building. So it's we approach it with understanding that this would be a big topic, and also we would need to spend a lot of resources on it, because it's not only the whole setup, that amount of time and resources that you need to build something. It also includes changes in UI, how we work with building itself, selecting places, placing things. So that's definitely a big topic that hopefully we will address in some way, but for the size of it, it won't be something that will be addressed immediately, because it will take time, and it will take some prototyping and testing, because there are interesting mods, as you mentioned already. So we are also, of course, looking what they did. We don't want to simply copy it. We want to see it in a context, if it makes sense for all player groups, and if it would make sense in vanilla, if what we need to change. So that's quite huge. But we are talking with Adam about how to improve base building in a way that it makes sense. It doesn't look somewhat goofy like in Fortnite, because that would be quite
Yeah.
uh, uh, immersive breaking for us. And also the environment, how to use environment ideally with base building, because with our maps, we still would like the whole setup of building bases as a natural part of the survival experience. So while it's lovely to see what modders can do, and how community servers are full of like huge towers and almost like sky islands. Sometimes some of the images from community servers really remind me the latest Legend of Zelda game with like a huge, uh, which is really cool. But we don't know if this makes sense for the like vanilla survival experience. That should be a little more gritty and
It's got to fit. It's got to
literally.
fit the aesthetics.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
with that, some of the mods out there. Like I know some of the servers have gone for a Rust style, which is exactly what you talk about. You know, these big, I call them McMansions, garish things that are 20 stories high and all the rest of it. Completely impossible. But you look at something which Dumpgraph put a lot of work into his fortifications mod, using the vanilla assets in the game, planks, sticks, and sheet metal. And then you've got the R22R, where he's done a more almost medieval style fortification walls, which are much higher, so you can't just drive a truck up and vault over the top of the fence. And even something that I think it was Minder suggested was something as simple as a slight change in the watchtower structure, in that you could build just a flat floor and not have the hatch there. So you could build yourself a little 1x1 shack out in the middle of nowhere, use the watchtower as it, and even being able to attach a gate as one of the walls to a watchtower, rather than only being able to put 4 or 3 walls around it. So you could have a watchtower and have one of those walls be a gate instead of just a wall. Simple things like that would be great for us to see. But is there any reason why you can't go to someone like Dumpgraph? Because from what I've seen, his mod works very well. And you bought the rights to DayZ off Dean Hall. You made a deal with the guy behind Mini DayZ. Is that something you could do? Go to a modder and say, look, we would like to use your mod, because I think that'd be great for the modders to be able to see one of their mods being purchased by BI to use, just as a stopgap until you can do something. Because I think the console community would absolutely love it, especially because they don't get anything. Is that something that's viable, or am I just talking out of my ass here?
Well, first thing, it would be really lame from us if we just like take inspiration from existing mod and just do it again without like crediting the person. Like that's definitely not what we should do. Communicating with mod creators about their creations is possible. I cannot like completely rule it out. There are of course like some legal parts of that,
Of course.
and we already like contacted some of the modders when we were working on Frostline, because uh, based on which we also mentioned last time, based on the discussions with CDLC, because there was a team giving us the pitch, and we talked about the difficulties of creating the content for all platforms at the same time. We said that we would still like to cooperate with them, at least like on parts where it's possible. So we included several people, and it was a great cooperation. I really like that there was that step that really community and team
That's the first I've heard of
developers.
that. Can you give any more details on who that was, or is that all secret squirrel stuff?
It's I don't believe it's secret. It's also they are added to the game credits, because again, like everyone who works on the game for at least like some amount of time should be credited properly. So they were all credited. You definitely know about Mike. You should know about Suvi. We also cooperated with Cassie, who previously worked in Bohemia on some projects. So we contacted more people. We have some assets created by Winstride, and like we are really happy with the cooperation, and I hope that based on this we will be able to do similar things more, because we already what we are doing is that we have some modders joining our development team, not only on DayZ but also on Arma, and I am somewhat happy that that's not the only way how we can cooperate, because that usually means also like relocation to Czech Republic, and that's not for everyone. I understand, especially like people who have like family, they have ties, they have another job at a different country, and just like moving is not viable. And based on the work, it might not be that great to work fully remote. It's possible for some work, definitely. Especially, I think after COVID, it showed that it can work. Depends on the company and on the setup and the type of work. It might be more or less efficient compared to when everyone is together in an office. But I hope that this will allow us to do more stuff. About purchasing mods or rights, again, that then the legal part comes in, because then at least we are not currently like solving that specifically. While it's I still keep that in mind that yeah, it's basically an option in a way. Of course, some adjustments would be required there, but there would be a contract which needs to have some legal parameters, and some check marks needs to be solved. But yeah, it's something that we I believe will be looking into for the future, especially with how the industry is moving. Because if you we currently have an somewhat initial thing already quite set up with creator DLCs. Shortcut is CDLC for that on Arma 3. Because there are some expansions that are created solely by community, and we are basically just a publisher, like just making sure that everything works, it's tested, and stuff like that. So I think it works pretty well. It's still a premium model. It's not like any free-to-play stuff. There are agreements about the profit share and everything. And basically, the only thing that is preventing DayZ to do the same is the issue with being on different platforms, and agreements ask us to have basically the same content across different platforms. And suddenly it's much more complicated compared to Arma 3. But again, this is something that should be solved for Arma 4 and future titles that are built on Enfusion. Because then it should allow us much more, and also provide a stable environment for community to work on across all platforms that would already like support that. So what we, for example, like definitely see, because if you watch the gaming industry and what is happening, there are some like super extremely successful and profitable things like Roblox, and they have a creator program where you can really basically create a small studio and make small or sometimes even somewhat large games for Roblox and make money from that.
Gary's Mod is another example.
Yeah, so there are examples. It can work. It's something that our company is also looking into, because the trends are changing, and you don't want to be left behind completely. And we already have games that are really focusing on community a lot, and supporting of modding and promoting mods. And we want all our also future titles to work this way, that we have close ties with the community. So it probably won't be simply purchasing a mod. It will be more complicated than that, the whole process, and the integration in the game, and the legalities around that. But it's something that might happen. I'm not saying it will. I don't have like any confirmation about that. We know about what our community is creating, and that's also a thing that I mentioned last time, that we would actually love if the content from mods would be available on consoles, because that would allow like all players across all platforms really to enjoy something. And as I said also last time, half of our player base is on consoles. So that's a huge amount of players, and we really want to create stuff also for them. Like, that's one of the reasons why, even during the discussion with the CDLC team, even if we could release the CDLC only on PC, we would basically send a message to half of our player base that we don't care about them. And again, like it's not something that we want to do. Like, of course, it would bring some money, but where would that put us on the standards that we want to have towards our community? So yeah, like of course that's an again tough decision. Like because on one side, the game needs to be profitable so we can support it for longer, and ideally with more content, possibly expand the team and so on. On the other side, like, do we really want to ignore half of our players and say like, well, tough luck, you should play on PC? That doesn't sound that fair.
PC Master Race.
Yeah, PC Master Race. Because also trends are changing. Like the gaming consoles is really big, and basically all main and even like indie titles are now being released across all platforms. That's as a part of thinking how to provide the same experience to players regardless the platform. As of course, on consoles it comes with some limitations, because even though we are now talking to Microsoft and Sony, there are some rules that are still like building. There are some games that have mods on some limited capacity. The first thing is that it needs to be heavily moderated. Like the company is fully responsible for every single mod that is offered on console, how it performs, all the contents and everything. So there would be like much bigger moderation of the content compared to what is now happening on Steam. Second thing is that there are usually limitations that you can have only a very limited amount of mods installed, because then it's again hard to check that different combinations of mods don't increase the crash rate, for example, and that there are also space limits. That, for example, the mods can be only a specific size, which is quite problematic, especially for us if a lot of mods are maps. And player on consoles would, of course, like to have more options and more maps to play on. So suddenly there are some limitations that we are still solving, and we'll see where it goes. But as I said, like I still believe that there will be time when console players will have the same experience, including modding, compared to PC. If it will happen soon, I can tell, because it's really not up to us or our company. Like, we're just quite small in the whole fight with huge companies that need to set the environment in a way that it will work. But it's something that we are solving in cooperation with also other companies who would like to see their games having more options on different platforms.
What about? Sorry. So
No,
just going back, because I did bring something up that I did want to come back to with the base building side of it. What Minder suggested about, a small change to the way the watchtower works. Is that something that you guys could consider in the near future? Because that would make a massive difference just by itself. It wouldn't be exactly everything that people want, being able to fortify buildings with doors and barricades on the windows and that, but just being able to do a subtle change of maybe changing one of the walls to a gate and being able to build it just as a roof instead of a full watchtower with stairs up the whole way.
I again cannot like fully rule it out or confirm it. It's something that we are looking into, and we are looking into like what are our options and what would make sense, because even if we in the end possibly agree on releasing smaller changes over time, it needs to go towards some like a bigger picture of how the base building works as a whole. So we are trying to figure that out, and then we'll see what is possible in what timeline, how problematic it would be to change stuff. Also considering like how much it would affect existing mods, because again, like, we would need to communicate it ahead of time that we are planning this change. So check your mods or content that you created and see if you can adjust it. Again, experimental to test everything. So we are looking into that, because base building is a big topic, and it's a big topic in general for survival games, especially if you look at other competitors on the market, and if you see how popular even those like PvE games like Pal World are. Like, the base building is everywhere. So I'm not saying that we compare ourselves to Pal World necessarily, but all those games that are being released are really focusing heavily on base building, and it's quite popular. And for survival, it makes sense that you want to create at least a shelter. And in our case, it's more than just a basic shelter to like survive a rain overnight. So we understand why community is asking for this. We are aware of the state of base building in our game. So now it's more in a stage of evaluating what can we do, how can we do it, how long it will take for us to develop it properly. So yeah, definitely a live topic that we are discussing, the same as central economy.
You've kind of touched on this next point a bit, in that you've got plans coming up and all the rest of it. Will we see a roadmap anytime in the near future of what's coming up? I know we joke on the podcast about the roadmap being, we kind of refer to it as the R word, and no, not that other R word that I say all the time that people get up me for, but that after the 2015 roadmap and what Brian announced at PAX Australia, and how basically it's almost a PTSD-inducing word for the DayZ devs, because to this day people still bring up that 2015 roadmap. But it is something that a lot of people in the community would like to know, what the plans are for the future, because we don't know a lot about, and I get you have to be rather circumspect. You can't, as you mentioned in the first episode about under promise, over deliver, but some sort of guideline of what to expect with the next patches and what you're working towards down the future. You saw how excited everyone got with the announcement of Frostline, and what came with it. There is interest in knowing what you guys are considering, even if it doesn't pan out.
We will definitely release at least an article about our plans for the next year. I'm not sure if we will release like a full roadmap, because we are working on some stuff that can shift with release dates of some updates. But we are currently like polishing and looking to details about or investigating how much resources some things will take, so we can properly plan for the whole next year, and we will definitely share something. The thing is that as we say in not only game dev but in general, I heard like we don't know what we don't know. There might be some things that will influence our decisions or capabilities of doing something. There is an example that we also get in comments and feedback a lot of times, and that's infected AI. Because we are still looking into changes to that. But
That's good to hear.
But it's first it's not that easy, because we need to consider the general impact on all players. If we change infect it in a way that there will be like a real danger and huge obstacle to players, it will be great for veteran players. It can really kill potential to get new players, because the fresh spawns will be just obliterated. So we need to think in more ways than just a singular simple change, and how it will affect the game. Also, the changes to AI are somewhat specific, and I still remember very well our experience back then in 2012, 13 on Carrier Command, where the programmer who was responsible for AI left the company, and the AI really went to quite unwell state, and we were spending a huge amount of time trying to fix it, because there wasn't a proper replacement for the person. So that's also something that is related to specialization of some developers, because AI is not an easy subject, so it takes time. And again, we want to know that we can do such thing properly. Otherwise, we are not going to change it and possibly make it worse. So again, it's a topic that we might be discussing, but currently we don't have exact results of anything, because we are not happy with the changes that we were playing around with. It didn't really improve the gameplay. It was just like more frustrating on many levels, because it didn't achieve what we wanted. And with the roadmap, it's basically the same. There might be some bigger topics that we want to delve into. We want to investigate them, but we don't want to promise stuff, because at the end it might look worse than what we wanted, and then we don't want to introduce it to players. So that's also a reason why we don't provide dates until we really know, okay, this will be part of that game update, because we know that we can develop it, we tested it, we can put it in experimental, so we can get feedback if players like it, if it works as intended, or if players figure out a completely different way that changes how this whole thing is perceived, and will be it didn't work as well as we thought originally, and we will need to address that. So there will definitely be some information about what will happen next year, and I believe that compared to previous years, as we mentioned at the beginning of the talk today, we will try to focus more on communication and also communicate our plans or changes to the plans during the year. So it's not only like one article at the beginning of the year, but some checks during the year, where we can announce some more stuff based on what we are working on and if it works or not. And be somewhat more direct and open about stuff that is planned for the future. So that's definitely something that we want to do next year, and we will address our plans more than just once per year.
I would love to see an animal AI overhaul as well. The boars be dangerous. You nodding your head. That's something you've talked about as well, I guess.
Yeah, so no, that's a thing that even changes to AI of animals proves that changes of AI to infected is more complicated than just spending a few days of a programmer on it, because the systems are created in a certain way, and by implementing some changes, you can really heavily influence the outcome on some unexpected place. So it needs to be a very careful work and a lot of testing if it really does what we want. So even changes to AI of animals is not as simple as we would like. So yeah, that's a reason why we don't. We are open to say that we are exploring this topic, because we are reading the feedback. We know that players would like some things. Usually, also like in the dev team, we would like to introduce some changes, or we are aware of things not being perfect. But we need to check if the changes are actually fixing and improving stuff or not.
Is there any reason why console is limited to using just Nitrado for server hosting? And this isn't anything against Nitrado specifically, but on PC, we can go to whoever we want to host a server, and we can get a dedicated server. Pay the 100, 200 a month or so, whatever it costs to have our own dedicated machine, even host our own machine. Is there any reason why the console community don't have that same option that you can discuss? I'm aware that might not be within your remittance, but what can you say about this topic, because it gets brought up a lot?
Yeah, we are aware. First thing is that we are quite happy with the cooperation with Nitrado and their support. The second thing is that there are, of course, business reasons, because based on how the agreements are set up, Nitrado is helping us much more with providing servers and server maintenance and everything. So at this moment, we are not looking for a change, even though I understand that not everyone is happy with a single option on consoles. But right now, for mostly business setup and those reasons, we are not gonna change the current state.
Okay. It would have been poor of me not to have mentioned it, considering it is one of the biggest options or issues I hear for the console community. But I've said that myself, that there's obviously some sort of business arrangements in the background. At the end of the day, business got to keep on businessing. So, it's not.
But it's fair that players are addressing that, because it's still a feedback for us. And when you are considering a business value of something, you also need to take into account how it affects players. So that's and as I said, like in the end, the player doesn't need to care about what our business setup is. They can
Yes.
be unsatisfied or unhappy with the service that we are providing, and it's completely fine if it's expressed.
If people do have,
yeah.
sorry, go. You go.
If it's expressed in a polite way, it's even better, of course.
Yeah.
But that's a fair point. Like if you are not happy with something and you have some constructive criticism, you have a good reasoning why you are not happy. If you can compare with something else, yeah, like that's also valuable information for us because it can change the business value of some things. I'm not saying that we will change it immediately. Sometimes that's not even possible because of, for example, legal reasons. But having this feedback matters. It's not. I think every reasonable game developer is paying attention to his player base and community and how players are enjoying the game and what is frustrating for them. Because then you can iterate and you can actually improve. I'm not saying it's always possible. There might be various reasons why it's not possible to do it immediately, do it at all, or in a scale that the community would prefer. But still, like having that feedback available is very important for developers. So yeah, well, I definitely won't discourage people from letting us know what are the issues, what they are happy or unhappy about.
What's the best way for them to do that? Feedback tracker or Twitter or
feedback tracker. Also, our community managers are in contact. So we have our official forums. There is Discord. There are a lot of ways how the communication can go nowadays. So yeah, all those channels are a viable option to provide some feedback and let us know about anything that relates to our game.
I see a chuckle from you. Okay,
but yeah, that's there. First thing is that this is actually linked to the streamer event that we did when we announced Frostline, because that was actually the first such event that we organized.
Yeah,
as a company.
I said to people myself that the closest thing I can recall them ever doing was when Brian Hicks got Jam Jar, Mr. Moon, Mr. Blackout, and a couple. I think Echo was there as well, and he had them at PAX West, I think. And since then, barring a few people turn up at the office and maybe go out on a trip with you guys, there's been nothing. So that's why it was such a huge event and why I was quite honoured to have been asked to come as well. But there was an overwhelming outcry from the community. What about us? And I agree with them. I would love, even if it was only a one-off, something similar. You know, that place you took us to, that abandoned military base, was the most amazing location. Like, it was not what I expected. I expected you to take us to Green Mountain and to Tizzy and places like that. But no, we went to this bizarre location that was just brilliant. And I could imagine, 1,000 plus DayZ fans all, spending time around there, getting to meet each other and having day trips to go out to visit Tizzy and Dancer Jesus giving us his tour. We all know how much he's an artist about that location, and sightseeing tours, and even just the bus drive in there, looking out and going, the landscape of Cherna is actually like what is around here. It's unless you're from the Czech Republic and maybe similar locations, you don't realize it. But I think that would be the most amazing event, and without you guys organizing it, it would never be as good as what you guys could come up with, in my opinion. Is that something you guys have talked about internally? Is that something that we may see? Is it going to happen? Can you announce it right now for everyone, or what is this something you would consider?
Like if I want to really surprise our marketing operations and other departments, I can definitely announce something, and they will learn from this interview. And I will have a lot of people like coming to my table, like asking questions. But the long story short is that of course we were thinking about the scale of the event with announcing Frostline, and like this selection of people who would be invited was quite complicated, because we really wanted to keep it somewhat small, as it was first event, and we had some like really serious concerns if we will be able to pull it off, and if it will really go well, because you were part of the group, and you saw the location, and
it was awesome.
We were afraid of the opposite reaction, that someone would be like, are you kidding me? Like, no way. Like, get me out of here. So we were really happy that everyone enjoyed it, because we had our concerns to the moment where you arrived in the bus, and we were like, well, let's hope that they will actually like this, because the original idea, of course, was like, we will do the regular thing as other companies are doing. There will be a presentation and a small buffet or something in our office, and we will all look really nice and stuff. And we said, like, that doesn't really sound like DayZ, and doesn't sound like something that we want to do, because we wanted to try something new and make it a little more interesting, especially when we wanted to basically originally do this as a 10-year anniversary celebration. But during winter we would freeze there most likely, so that wasn't a good idea. So we said, okay, let's combine the celebration of 10 years with announcement of Frostline. And that started quite a wild planning of, okay, how are we going to do it, what will be involved, and it ended up in basically a short LARP in a DayZ-like environment, and we were really lucky that we knew about this specific space, and we had contacts there. So that's really a lot of luck and good fortune that we got on the way there. But it proved that actually it didn't go without any issues. Definitely not. We had issues, and we had to solve them on the spot. But it showed
how
that
much did you settle with Paul for the head injury out of court settlement?
No, like he's a lovely guy. I'm sorry that he hit his head, but he was completely cool about that, and kudos to him, because I hope that apart from this specific thing, he really enjoyed the event. I'm not sure if it was if he was the unfortunate person who also got orange sparkly water coffee on Sunday morning from the machine. Because
I didn't know about that one. That's interesting.
Yeah, someone didn't notice that the flask with drinkable water is actually like sparkly and with orange flavor, and pour it into a coffee machine. So yeah, that was apparently to I believe two unfortunate people who had it as a first coffee of the day said that it's not as refreshing as it sounds.
But what about doing something similar for the community at large? Having an actual DayZ convention where people can buy tickets and come along and be able to participate in just a get together, because that for me was, aside from getting to go to Prague, which is one of the most beautiful cities. I'm so in love. Like, you said earlier about, relocating to the Czech Republic wouldn't be for everyone. My missus and I, we said, if we had nothing tying us down, we would move there in a heartbeat. Such a beautiful city and location. But I think for DayZ fans all around the world, whether they be from Australia, from the US, from the EU. For the EU, it's not so bad. It's just a drive down the road for most of them. But for the rest of us, it would be amazing, because the biggest thing for me was actually getting to meet people in person. Getting to meet yourself, getting to meet the running man. He and I have had a little bit of argy-bargy at times. We rub each other the wrong way. But when you get together with people, it's so good. And I think it'd be such a great healing moment for a lot of the fractures in the community if we were all able to just get together, because as much as I'm a bit of a divisive prick myself, I upset people all the time, but I always try to remind people we're all united in one thing. We all love this game. Sometimes that love drives us to outbursts and rants and unhinged rants at times, but we all still love this game. And I think the opportunity for just a weekend, a couple of days, where people can get together, get there a few days early, and do stuff that might not be on the official curriculum. But at a location like that, I'm certain that we could, work some sort of deal out with that place to, have some displays there, and you guys put that awesome event on the last night for the wrap up of the event and that. But that would be absolutely unbelievable for me. I think it would way surpass what the initial Frostline release event was, being able to go there and meet up with hundreds, if not thousands, of other DayZ fans, and get to meet all these different people. Because particularly down here in Australia, we get very lonely. We get very, very lonely down here. We're a small little passionate community, but I deal with all these people. Most of my co-hosts on the show have all been from the EU and the US. I never get to meet these people IRL. So an event like this would be, I think it'd be a killer for you guys financially as well. You see how well your limited edition packs get snapped up by people when they go on sale. Running a convention like that, I imagine Scotty right now is going, I'm going to kill you, boy, because if they make me organise this, I know how much hair pulling you have to do. Pillows. The pillows thing was so hilarious to me. But yeah. I would absolutely, I would be there in a heartbeat for something like that. And I could guarantee, like, if we come back and watch this later, I guarantee there's going to be a lot of comments on this video from those who do watch it saying, that they would, they would buy a ticket to go to an official DayZ convention where they get to go on tours and presentations and just get-togethers and meetups and stuff like that. It'd be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, like as you mentioned, pillows, they were actually found in another room. I don't know why, but some moved the majority of pillows from others to a different room, and then everyone was like, "There are no pillows on the on the bed." So we were getting extra pillows, and now we have a ton of pillows. So again, like, kudos to our operations to solve the pillow crisis.
and then some people being in a hotel room and the rest of us not. And it was like, I don't care, man. I'm getting put up for free. I'm happy. But yeah, it was funny. It was funny to me. But yeah, back to. Is there a possibility of you guys doing something like that? Because you have a very passionate community, passionate community.
Some years back, we were that was before COVID. We were thinking about also like having the whole Bohemia Interactive Con, like having both like DayZ, Arma, and other fans of our games together. Then the pandemic started. Basically, like, everything was closed, so that changed a lot. And then we said, okay, we will start with Frostline announcement, the event, and we will see like how we will manage. Because as you said, like, I believe there will be a big interest. Actually, for both, like that, I believe it would be possible to have a separate like DayZCon and ArmaCon, and both would work. Both could focus on different stuff because of the communities they have, and the thing is about the scale. What we are also able to do, because from a certain scale, which is funny because as I was part of organizing some things outside of work. There are also some norms and legal stuff. You need the whole service around a big amount of people. So it's a different scale. At that point, we would need to find a place. If the place where we had the Frostline announcement, if it will be big enough to solve, because to accommodate everyone, because the issue is that there is no really public transportation from there. So it would mean that we also need to solve transportation of everyone there and back. So we would need to solve, like, for example, a lot of buses to going back and forth or something like that, or have a really a good venue somewhere in Prague, because as you mentioned, for example, presentations and stuff, which I think there could be a lot of interesting things to be shared with community, and panel discussions and Q&A and a lot of other stuff. But the space where we were don't really have enough of proper spaces possibly for that. So again, like it's a lot of logistics, and yeah, we are still mainly like a game development company. So like organizing such a big things is not really something that we are doing normally, and in that case, of course, there are like other companies that are providing like a full service, which also costs something. We would need to figure it out. But I believe this event like was the first step towards showing that we are capable of organizing something that people will like and enjoy, and we can actually pass them like a good experience, fun, and some good time shared together. And I think this is something that we will be talking with marketing and in general inside our company, and also something that we will be talking with Arma teams, because I believe that it would also make sense for them to create something for fans of Arma, because it's a huge series. The fourth game is well, technically not fourth because there's Reforger, so basically fifth, but Arma 4 is on the way. So they also have a lot of fans. There could be a lot of interesting content that may be focused more on the military aspect compared to us, which might be more on survival. There might be some workshops, as basically similar to what you went through, like how to create fire and maintain it, how to find a shelter, how to all those things necessary to survival. Because also we had some experience from company team buildings, which is lovely, because Bohemia Interactive is still at core, like our CEO is still more focused on the survival and military. So we went on a team building which was really focused on different survival techniques, like finding edible things, how to filter water, and if you don't have like anything around you, and a lot of that stuff. But usually also like a lot of that stuff was in Czech or with a translator, and suddenly we don't have established that many contacts to international international like survival technique promoters or stuff like that, even though we are working on that because we see the potential and want to catch up somehow. So I would love to see such event in the future. I'm not sure if we will do something like a big scale soon. I think it would be safer to do like smaller steps towards building something. But yeah, I think it's something that would make sense. I think something that community would appreciate, and like having also a little more insight and direct contact with developers. And also it would be interesting for us because for developers, it's really refreshing if they can meet the community, if they can meet the players of the game, because like just reading through the comments, especially if it's just like negative feedback, like yeah, this didn't go so well. Of course, it has some effect on people who are working on the game, but when we have opportunity to go to some gaming event, either Gamescom in Germany, there is a Game Access conference or a game developer session in Czech Republic. It's quite refreshing when DayZ is recognized by people, and there is someone who just shares like, yeah, I really like to play your game, and I have this cool story that happened to me, some player interaction and stuff. So every time our someone from the team can attend those events, they come back like really refreshed and full of positivity, and that's also great. So I would really like to see something like DayZCon or Bohemia Interactive Con, something like that. And I hope that we prove that yeah, we can actually organize something. We just if we are talking about a lot of people, we need to think about the logistics of it. But I think there are options, and the most important thing is that there is interest from community to actually have event like this.
Well, make sure you leave a comment, spam them on Twitter, hit them up in the Discord if you think it'd be good, because that's the end of it. You know, they're not going to run something like this at a massive loss, but if it can break even, make a profit, hey, that's a great way to motivate people. The last question I have for you before we hit the viewer questions. Now, I did a brief chat with you before we started recording, and no, we're not announcing DayZ 2 right now, folks, but sometime back there was that big leak from the Micorsoft documents as part of the lawsuit that they were involved in at the time. And somewhere buried in those documents was a mention of acquiring Bohemia Interactive. And one of the assets that Bohemia Interactive had was DayZ 2. And everyone lost their collective shit over it. DayZ 2 announced. And I sat back and went, okay, no, I don't believe, unless they got their hands on some internal leaked documents that somehow got leaked by BI. Most likely what my theory was that this was just potential acquisition research where they get someone to look at companies that they may consider buying in the future or trying to take over. And if they did, what assets could they make money from? And obviously, if you were looking at buying Bohemia, you would be looking at making a DayZ 2. So that was my theory on it. Is there anything, because we've talked about this quite a lot. It's obviously a big question on everyone's mind. You know, you guys have spoken quite loudly about the issues you face with the current engine. So logically, people can assume you guys are looking to the future for DayZ because it is a cash cow for the company. Basically saved Arma 2. Marek spoken about, that the company was very tight way back then, and then DayZ came out, and suddenly this game that was on its last legs suddenly surged to the top of the Steam charts. Everyone buying Arma 2 and Operation Arrowhead so they could play this crazy Kiwis sadistic invention. And then DayZ Standalone came out, and it's a massive game. You've only got to look at the player charts. DayZ's always up there. So I know you can't say that there is a DayZ 2, but most people would be assuming it's something you guys are thinking about in the future. Is there anything you could say publicly on the record for people about the potential of a DayZ 2?
Well, we definitely thanked Microsoft for announcing new titles for us. That was helpful. but just to clarify that, those documents that were they were not technically leaked, but as investigation during Microsoft trying to obtain Activision Blizzard, there was of course like a a lot of looking into such a huge transaction as part of that in U.S. court. I'm not sure if it was Florida or which state, but they need in such some cases they need to release the full documents to public, and as a part of that, this was also included because. I think people could notice that Microsoft lately is having somewhat of a shopping spree, basically acquiring some development studios for the whole strategy of Game Pass.
Were
and
you guys
everything.
even aware they were eyeing you off?
I personally am not aware of like any talks taking place, but again, I'm not a CEO of this company.
Yeah.
If I'm not sure, like he would directly tell me like you wouldn't believe who talked to me about acquiring us. Like I don't think so, but
so it kind of caught you off guard as well. Then I'm guessing.
Not that much because I know that when these huge companies, and it's not only Microsoft, also like Tencent, NetEase, and all those like big companies that are acquiring game development studios are, of course, assessing if it makes even sense to look into some studios. So as part of that, Microsoft, of course, did a research of studios that are on the market and if it makes any sense for them to start any negotiations or look into them at all. And as a part of that, Bohemia Interactive was mentioned, and as expected projects for the future, there was DayZ 2, there was Arma 4, I believe, was already announced when these documents got to public, so that didn't stir like any surprise. But yeah, it's quite logical to expect something like that. And we actually weren't like the only company. There were some other companies, and also there were like titles that were freshly announced or announced like very short time after because of the timing. So it was really like a research from Microsoft into acquiring studios. For us, of course, we are looking into the future because we are well aware of our limitations and stuff. But I will not announce anything. Definitely not at this point.
Yep.
We are really trying to focus on DayZ 1 and what works. We just released the DLC, and we need to support it because again, it's also a promise that we gave to the community that we are planning a long-term support of everything. And when the time comes to talk about any changes to what we are currently doing, it will be announced ahead of time, definitely.
At a DayZ Con, maybe?
Having a DayZ Con might be interesting opportunity to announce anything related to DayZ. Yes, I agree with with that.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah.
So if there's a DayZ Con announced, folks, you just heard it first here. DayZ 2 confirmed.
Yeah, it's like waiting for Half-Life 3, and in the meantime, we got a ton of stuff, including Steam Deck for some reason, and like, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, we are looking into the future, and I would say that also thanks to our community and how popular DayZ is, even though we are well aware of how old the game is, we definitely want to take our time to think about things and do things right for the future, and ideally not repeat some of the mistakes we did in the past. So we are somewhat careful about like talking about anything outside of DayZ because yeah, we know how promising something too fast can haunt us for
And
years.
under promise, over deliver.
Yeah. So that's everything I can say to the future of DayZ for now.
Yep.
And we just want to keep our communication line open and be a little more transparent or more precise with announcing stuff, even related to DayZ 1, as I said before. So that's if there is some movement that leads to something concrete, I believe that our community will be first to learn.
Okay, we are now on to the final stage, which is the viewer questions from the people who submitted questions for you. So thank you to everyone. I'm just going to let the dog out of the office. He's starting to whine, and then we'll get into those. Couple of hours sitting in here with me. He doesn't like me. He's more of a mummy's boy. Okay, so the first question was from Foxy Pope, which we've already answered. Will they make any official community mods so they can be enjoyed by console players? So we've touched on that plenty. The next question was from Good Cluck. Hindsight being what it is, were there any aspects of the Frostline project that did not reach the planned potential and required adjustment, or that exceeded expectations set during the planning phase? So you talked about the first part of that question a bit already about things that didn't meet it, but was there any that did exceed the expectations you set?
Yeah, well, some things didn't make it, and also we are planning to finish them, polish them, add them as a long-term support, as mentioned. I am really happy with how the whole transformation of existing map into a different map went. Because there was a discussion about that. It's a rework of Tanoa map from Arma, which is true. We never said that this is a completely new map built from a scratch, because with our maps it would take more than a year to present it. But we had a concern, and we also discussed it with Marek, our CEO, when we pitched the whole idea, that players might not like this because they will simply see Tanoa the whole time. And then we showed our first concepts and first tests of changing the environment, the lighting and everything to make it really unique. And we got green light based on that, and I think a lot of people, including Marek, that told us that even though he knows it's Tanoa, he barely could recognize any of it.
That's what I heard as well from a lot of people.
Yeah, which is really huge kudos to Adam, to Florian, the Dance of Jesus, and all the contractors and from the community that helped us to really create this map, because without them it wouldn't be possible at all, especially in such a short time. So they did an amazing job. And right now, Sakhal is my most favorite map, because just the environment at the winter, I love how it looks. Our engine team still helped us with the snow effects, with how the snow covers the environment. So I was afraid of how the map will look like, especially when we are not just changing the basically the whole location and how the environment looks in general, but also adding the winter theme on top of it. I'm really proud of our team and everyone who helped us, because I think they did an amazing job, and turning tropical paradise into somewhat of a frozen hell. That's something I hoped for, and I think that everyone in the team tried their best to really deliver that experience to our players.
Baked Button Basher, LJ2112. I've always been curious as to if console will get the same type of tools PC can get for creating content. It would be nice to have a private server to film some scenic B-roll stuff. I can only see it as a possibility because of Rockstar Editor on the last GTA. I know it's most probably not compatible, but if you could articulate that better than me, maybe worth an ask. I think he articulated that quite well.
Yeah, like it's quite understandable. Yeah, Rockstar is a little bigger than we are, but that's yeah, just a little. But yeah, ideally, of course, we would like players on all platforms to have access to the same tools or options, and we are like doing some steps towards that, or to at least make life of console players easier. So we are looking into adjusting, improving the tool sets that are available. I don't have exact dates for releasing like any updates or additional content right now, but definitely it's a topic because in ideally we would like to, of course, get consoles on par with PC. That's not easy to do. It's not something that can be done in a short time, unfortunately. So yeah, the same thing with the whole modding topic. Our goal in the end, not only for DayZ but as a company, is that modding will be available across all platforms. So no matter on the platform that the player selects, if they will play our games, they ideally should have access to mods, to modding, to tools, to set their servers, adjust them, and everything. We'll see how much time it will take, but like so far we are putting a lot of effort to achieve it, and hopefully we will get there.
Duddits, TTV. I'm wondering, like others, what the future of DayZ holds. I know that Dev spoke about DayZ having continuous updates for the foreseeable future, but I'm curious about specifics, if that is possible. I don't want to reach as far as DayZ 2, but I'm sure everybody is curious about when, if an update to the zombie AI is in the works. We touched on that. Additionally, how realistic would it be to expect shooting from cars, helis, water ladders, etc.? I'm of the belief that my second question will most likely be pushed to something like a DayZ 2, as I understand this wouldn't be a primary priority as it stands for DayZ currently. If these are not anything they are looking at, what are some other major updates we can expect in the future, notwithstanding closed guns, unintended game features, etc.?
Yeah, as we said, like AI of infected is something that we want to look into, but we'll see about our resources and ability to introduce something better. So far, we are not successful in making it better. Regarding DayZ 2, we talked about that. We are not announcing anything right now. Shooting from vehicles in general is definitely a topic that is on the table for a long time. We know that the community is asking for that. We started some investigations last year because with the whole introduction of boats, we were also thinking, okay, so we have boats, and the first question from community will be, okay, can I shoot from it? So yeah, we're investigating that, and again, I don't want to promise any results by any date, but definitely it's a topic that we are investigating, and we want to push if possible, because it makes sense. So yeah, like again, reading through the feedback, we know that this is a desirable feature and a logical feature for DayZ, so we're looking into that. For other stuff, I would like to keep some surprises for this year. We will tackle some in the article at the beginning of the year, and as I said, we will be updating our plans and possibly announcing stuff along the way during next year. So if there will be some questions or some changes in direction or anything, it will be communicated during the year. So we don't want to leave players in a void, not knowing what is happening. I can definitely say that we have a plan for supporting the game for the whole next year and after. So we are not planning any shutdown of DayZ during next year. Definitely not. We are planning more updates, and we are already looking towards 2026 and some more options that we have. So yeah, that's something that I can say already, that we are looking for more support across the board. As I said, Frostline was more oriented on survival. We also want to address some gunplay. We already touched the topic of base building, that we are looking into our options there, and how to ideally address that in the future. So yeah, with how wide our game goes, there's a lot of topic to look into.
Yeah. And
So,
everyone has a different priority. You can't please everyone. There's ones who want the gunplay, ones like myself who want survival base building, others who want it to be easy mode, and those who want it to be hard mode. It's the anti game. It's nigh on impossible to please everyone.
yeah, and at the same time, the whole technology, hardware is moving forward. AI is everywhere. There's a lot of things happening, and of course we can't ignore that, and are also looking into these new things, and if it makes sense to introduce something new and valuable to our players. So we are also in contact with our partners, discussing that. So that might result into some general improvements across the board. We'll see. We don't want to again announce anything that is currently under some investigation, if it's possible, if it makes sense or not. But once we have confirmation that this actually will improve the experience of our players, and we can do it in a reasonable time for a reasonable price, so it won't ruin us. We will communicate such changes.
Dr. Desync with some very good questions here. Will an additional project section to BI's feedback tracker be added that is focused on the DayZ experimental branch? We already have 3 others dedicated specifically for modding in the console versions.
Looking into that, in general, we were also looking into some ways how to improve experimental, how to get more information to players who are trying experimental, and also get easier way how to get feedback from it. So that's also something that we are looking into.
While this probably a period of rest for the team to get ready for the new year, lots of new members, specifically from the DayZ community, have joined the team. What can be roughly expected for DayZ in 2025? Will there be a roadmap publicly made available? We've already kind of covered that. Anything you want to add?
Just as I said, definitely there is a plan shaping for the support for the whole next year and beyond that. So we are already planning a lot of stuff.
Will the team ever plan to revisit the radio system to bring it up to the modern era, as well as open the possibility of this to modding, task force radio, etc., for PC players?
Investigations already happened earlier this year into that, and we are thinking about how such systems would be also not only for the platform, but also with some reasonable gameplay content or effect on the vanilla experience. One of again a long list of topics that is on our radar, and we are looking into it, and that's basically the thing is that the amount of topics is quite huge, and we will need to pick what and when we will do, because the whole Bohemia probably wouldn't be big enough to tackle all the topics that we have on the list.
He also mentioned base building, but we've covered that pretty much in depth. The last question he has is, will DayZ ever get an official tool to that of Arma 3's Eden editor?
That's that would be complicated. Again, I cannot completely rule it out, but that would be a huge effort to deliver such a tool. Because again, if we create such a tool, it should be also usable on consoles. Because ignoring half of our player base again. So I think that is currently a little out of our reach of what is possible. But I'm not saying that thing like this won't happen somewhere in the future.
Project Lemons, it would be interesting to hear about the unused zombie animations like door bashing still present in the game files. Do they have any plans for these animations? And if so, what do they intend to do with them? This could also tie into a discussion about the AI rework that keeps getting delayed. So there is quite a bit in the game files that we don't see. Not just animations, but things like the Groza and other guns and things like that. But that's a good one about the door bashing, because I know that's quite a popular mod on a lot of the modded servers. Do you guys have anything you can say about that?
We know it's popular. We have animations for it. We know. So again, it's something that as a part of like looking into infected AI, like it's definitely a thing that we are aware of as a possibility for infected. Most probably makes sense that you can't simply get into any building, wait there, or trap infected in a building. And it's just one small aspect of the whole possible rework of AI that would make sense in a large scale across the whole experience, from being a fresh spawn and having infected as environment hazard or danger, up to the veteran players who should not completely ignore infected around them, because they are still representing some danger that can't be taken completely lightly. So we have a lot of stuff that was introduced during a long period of time, and we are now basically like evaluating how it could work. But again, like this one is a huge topic, and we'll see where we'll get with that.
And the last question is again from Dr. Desync. Will we see any models, mechanics, maps, etc., ported from Reforger to DayZ?
That's a good question. At this point, I can't share like any concrete information about that. Again, I cannot rule it out. I'm not going to confirm anything. As mentioned during also some feedback, we are importing assets from our other games. Yeah, we're a single company, and we sometimes we are also creating assets already with more than one game in mind. That this asset will be shared across the games where it makes sense. We are sharing some assets from Vigor. Vigor is also sharing some assets from us, also as a part of cross promoting and like making players of one game aware that we actually created more games than just this one that you are playing. Maybe you want to try another one. Also, basically, as we are one company, we share the cost for creating anything, asset, animation, sound. So we still want every game to be unique in what it delivers. But we are trying, of course, to be somewhat cost effective, and sometimes that means sharing some assets, which usually doesn't mean that we will just take asset one to one and place it in another game, because most likely it wouldn't work. But there are adjustments, reskins, and other stuff. So like anything that would look completely pristine in DayZ would look quite weird. So, for example, if you look at Arma games, their weapons, vehicles, clothes, everything looks quite new. compared to us, where everything looks ruined, destroyed, old, dusty, etc., etc. So we need to add some changes. Also, in other games, usually they don't have the levels of destruction of items, while we have several states of
Yeah.
items. So we need to add those because they are not existent. So it's not just Control C, Control V, done, release. It's more work, but sometimes assets from our other games are ported to DayZ. And the thing is that first it's cost effective and it allows us to actually like introduce more things into the game compared to creating everything from the scratch again. Even though if we have like the same type of item that already was created, it's much easier to simply adjust it so we can use it in our game and also introduce more variations, for example, of such item. So I'm not sure if we will use something from Reforger. It can happen if there is something that would make sense for us. Uh, but but in general, like sharing some things between our games at Bohemia Interactive is happening. I don't think there's like any denial about that. And there are various reasons why we are doing it. It's not because we want to be cheap. It's more because we want to introduce more stuff faster to our players across the games. Sometimes it's cross promotion thing, which also happens between different games or studios. Like the whole thing we introduced payday masks again during event in DayZ, and there might be more stuff in the future. Also, possibly in some other games that were released recently, you might find some Easter eggs pointing to DayZ or Arma. So you might expect some more of that also happening in the future.
I do like seeing that.
Yeah, there is a small, basically post-apocalyptic game that was released recently.
Just a tiny one.
Tiny one.
Kind of
Also,
stalked up on everyone.
exactly.
Caught us off guard.
Yeah, and as I said, like part of the GAC Games World, which is developing Stalker 2, also moved to Prague because of the events in the world, and we share quite a similar taste in the game with what we did do on DayZ, and they're very nice people, and we had a great talks, and hopefully we will do some more stuff with them. So there's a lot of cooperation happening behind the scenes between game studios lately, and I'm really looking forward to introduce some more interesting stuff through events or Easter eggs and others in the future.
Thales, we have done every single question we had. I've asked everything I could think of, and we have been going now for 2 hours. So all up, we've got about nearly 4 hours of time that you've graciously given to not just me, but to the DayZ community at large. Is there anything else you would like to talk about or add or just say before we farewell everyone?
I would like to thank everyone from the community for support for many years. We wouldn't be able to release more updates and fixing our unfinished game for so many years without your support. So we all really appreciate that from our team, our supporting departments, and the whole Bohemia Interactive. So thank you very much for that. We are listening to your feedback, so if you have feedback, feel free to write it. We are going through everything, and we are happy to read more about what you like, dislike, what would you like to change, or why would you want some adjustments in the game. So feel free to let us know. And I hope that we will see each other ideally during some DayZCon in the future.
I have one last question for you. Is the feedback tracker for nerds? Marx is going to kill me for this question, isn't he?
Well, we are playing video games. We are somewhat nerdy.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
in a way, yes. Like I think Marx. You can get some messages from Marx, and I will be responsible for new hair care for Scotty after he hears about the DayZCon and organizing that one. Like, he will kill me. No, or he will say, like, you know what, man, like, you promised it, you organize it. I'm done.
Mate, thank you so much. I just was having a quick look at the chart for DayZ, and yes, it's dropped down about 20,000-30,000 from when Frostline was released, but DayZ still, since it looks like around about 2022, been averaging over 50,000 players on Steam, and that's just Steam alone. So it's insane to me that this game, 10 years old, coming up on 11 very, very soon, and it's doing better than ever. It is generally always in the top 50 games on Steam that are being played right now. For all of its unintended game features, its little quirks, communication issues, it's still amazing. When people want to criticize the game, and yes, you can criticize the game, but remember, like I said last episode, the devs have feelings. But look at the competitors out there. Look at the other games, and look at the Scum was quite fascinating to me. They had some really big ambitions, but the devs had to scale them back, because even with all the advances in technology these days, to do some of the stuff that people ask you guys to do with DayZ, it's just not possible to have a functioning server. And people have got to be realistic about their expectations of what they expect from you guys. These massive sprawling cities, they kill servers. We can see that even with just that one city on Sakhal. Everyone kind of avoids it almost because it tanks the FPS, but it's still playable, but it's not great. So people have just got to be a bit more understanding that you guys are kind of still forging new ground with what's possible for a massive MMO game with this amount of people and this amount of realism.
Yeah, well, nobody said making fun is easy, but still, I think it's a part of the whole entertainment that people have a lot to choose from. Different video games, movies, TV series, books, sports, everything. So I'm just really glad that so many players chose to spend their time with what we created. That's a huge honor for us, and we are trying to do our best to make it fun for all of you for years to come. So thank you again.
Thales, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the spotlight on Mr. Thales. Thank you so much for your time, and you're very, very forthright. I know there was a lot you couldn't say and commit to, but I still think there's a lot of good information, and it's very promising to hear that there's support plan for all of next year and the year beyond, into the year beyond as well. So, yeah, good times ahead. Good times ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Thales, thank you so much. Any final words for everyone?
Yeah, thanks for having me, and see you in DayZ.
Ciao for now.
Bye.